درود بر همگی، خوش آمدید چنل من. توی این بازی قرار این سراغ یه بازی ترسناکی که راجع به کالبدشکافی جسد و ایناست و اینم یادتون نره حتما با دکمه سابسکرایب بزن، ویدیو لایک کن و حتما ویدیو واسه دوستاتون شیر کن. کامنت انگلیسی هم فراموش نشه برای اینکه ثباتتون نپره.
Office of the Medical Examiner, Beatsville.
Okay.
Dr. Jack Hanman is speaking. How can I help you?
Good evening, this is Kate.
چی میتونم
I'm
کمکتون
not
کنم؟
sure if you remember me. A few weeks ago, we talked about an article I'm working on. It's about your wife. I dropped by last Friday to speak to you, but you weren't working at the time. I asked the security guard to pass on a note for me. I would like us to discuss the topic of...
I thought I had made it painfully obvious for the last time. No! Please don't call me again and stop inquiring about my wife.
دور زنگ نزن.
Damn journalists. They don't let me work. God
دارم
damn
به
it.
کارم برسم.
I'm not in the best frame of mind to record a lecture for my students now. I'm feeling completely broken. Where did I leave my meds this time?
Check bathroom for your pills.
I guess it was in another life. Wednesday. It's not my favorite day, although it's certainly better than Monday. Stephen didn't
اوکی برش کن. بریم. وای. سنس مستشو دوست دارم. بسترون کجا؟
Okay, time to pull myself together
قرصمونو بزنیم. صدا اومد.
and get back to work.
اسکیپ میتونیم شد. چراغ نداره اینجا. از همه الان دارم میترسم.
I need to set the camera first.
کامرا اینجا که کامپیوتر نیست. لابراتوری اینجا اتاق جنازه استراجر اینجا.
This place is starting to look like a hoarder's dream rather than a storm. Now remember, Jack, don't forget, hit the record button this time. I don't see any need to mess with the electrics. They are flaky enough as it is.
ببینیم رو چیکار کنم.
Let's hope I'm not caught short this evening.
This room. This room کجا اینه؟ لابراتوری اینه دیگه. this room. پرچه چی میگه؟ باشو.
Hopefully the new tripod is going to hold up.
اوکی جنازه. ماما سیتو ماما که سانسور داری. یوتیوب ما رو پن نکنه.
Now I just have to get everything in frame. This should be fine. November 20th, 1991. Time 8:43 p.m. Recording for medical students from the University of Missouri. This autopsy is conducted by Jack Hanman. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the autopsy room. Today, you will have the dubious pleasure of following a full autopsy, step by step. For those of you who have already performed your first autopsy, this will refresh your scalpel, scissors, syringe, magnifying glass, knife. My old but trusted centrifuge. Ideal for all the fluid tests I need to perform during an autopsy.
بلند نشی چیکار باید کنم؟ Take at loot the checkboard.
Let's start. Always
یکی این
wear
کار
apron,
بکن.
mask, and gloves. Goggles are a must when the job. And it's true that you won't get.
اوکی اول میگه باید لباس بپوشیم. بعد بریم
The
سراغ
cadaver is placed on its back on the autopsy table.
آمپول
The
واسه
pathologist stands on the
کالبدشکافی.
make sure that all like I do. In the
بعد
pro, it
باید
is
عکس و
written
فیلم رو یادداشت کنیم. بعد تهیه تحویل کنیم.
Now
Okay.
onto the police folder. That will contain all sorts of pertinent information as to who the deceased might be and
لباسم
what potentially
کجاست؟
happened to them. So, let's take a closer look, shall we?
لباسم کجاست؟ این چیه؟ نشستن آره؟ نداره. لوک کجا رو لوک کنیم؟ Look through the internet folder.
I wasn't sure it would have meant.
Folder.
The deceased's name is Tobias Chambers, locally known as homeless.
اوکی اسمس بشه این.
The body was noticed by
جنازه
a
شده
social
جنگل
employee
پیدا
during the morning
کردن.
shift. The deceased was found on the outskirts of a parking
کنار
lot at a
پمپ
gas station.
بنزین.
Signs of libation were found around
الکل
the
خورده
body.
بود.
Empty bottle. He worked most of his life at the local port. That's it.
اوکی.
It's worth remembering the context around the scene of a death. This allows you to better interpret any traces found on the body. I shouldn't start the procedure without gloves.
چی پیدا کنم؟
Syringe, magnifying
That's
glass.
fish.
Now it's our turn to take some pictures for our files. If I can just remember where I left the camera. It's in here somewhere.
عکس بگیریم با کامera کو.
Aha! There you are. I knew it was here somewhere.
اوکی.
As I mentioned at the beginning, before we begin the internal examination, we need to document the cadaver and the condition it arrived in. We begin with a full body photo. Voila! Now we move on to the next step. Looking for traces. Take your time. Look at the... You're looking...
اوکی اصلا نمیخوایم یه دفعه بلند بشه اصلا اینو دوست ندارم. بگیر دیگه عکس رو نمیگیره. از کجا رو بگیرم؟ The marks.
Hardened hands, worn out by physical work and frostbite. Some wounds in the feet and signs of frostbite, probably because the subject's shoes were too small.
اوکی پا دیگه کجا؟ شکمش.
The boiler yield wound looks old. I'll take a closer look later.
چه بخیه داره شکمش. اوکی بعدی کجا؟ دستش که نیست. کلش.
That's something interesting. It will be necessary to check whether this... In a moment, we will check which of the initial observations will be worthy of further consideration. But before we get to that, I need to write down some basic data.
بلند نشو. پیپر نمیدونم چی. باید چیکار کنیم؟
It's been a while since the eye wash in this thing was changed. It's probably a health hazard now. Personal information. The deceased was unclothed. Date. Okay. As you can see, I note everything down on previously prepared forms. Every pathologist must keep a detailed record of this. Not so.
Okay, زیاد حرف نزن. ابست نمیدونم چی. باید چیکار کنم؟ چک کنیم باز داره به
It looks like a burn mark, no doubt.
زیاد حرف نزن دیگه اینجا
I can confirm
کلاشه
the presence of ecchymosis on the deceased man's head.
بازم زیاد حرف نزن تو بینتی کنکور ترسید
Here we can see
یکی هم
frostbite
دستش
on the
بود
fingertips. We can tell by the
با چه جورتی این جنازه رو چک میکنه
definitely a painful mix of frostbite,
ای
abrasions,
ناخوناشو
blisters. So far, there are a lot of superficial wounds, but only one serious injury to the head. Let's go back to our notes.
اوکی الان باید چیکار کنیم هایلایت کنیم هایلایت رو چی کنم منطقیه مداد من مداد بدهید مداد چی نمیخوام صدا اوکی باید بریم سراغ این نه این نه سراغ این تاب نه
First,
شیفت
I marked the location of the head wound. We're not
اینجا
informed that this type of wound didn't
یک دیگه
contribute
کجا
to the deceased's death. We're still required to record it.
سه تا جا بود
If Toby's body was cold for a prolonged period, the frostbite could have resulted from the body's defense reaction. The safety of the internal organs is more important than fingers, nose, or ears. As you can see, we don't have much to go on. Let's write down what preliminary causes of death we can think of.
اوکی
This is of no interest to us. Various types of considering the conditions in the nights have been particularly nasty lately. We will check if there are any signs of freezing internally. Since the deceased clearly smelled of alcohol, I'll add alcohol poisoning to our list. We still have one thing left from the basics. Rigor mortis. Well, we take our deceased by the hand, gradually we raise it, now let it go. As you can see, the hand
Okay.
is loose. What's the conclusion? Death must have occurred more than 72 hours ago. The police information appears correct. Head trauma seems the most promising, so we'll start there. For this, I need an oscillating saw.
select چی رو سلکت کنیم اوکی الان فکر کنم باید مغزش رو جورو کنیم اوکی
The cut is made from ear to ear.
چجوریه
We remove
Aye.
the skin and the top.
از خوشم
After
What
the
the
basic
fuck مغزش رو گرفت
We
دستش
can see that the brain's cerebral gyri in both hemispheres
Como
are
fue?
symmetric. The brain looks good. Let's take a cross section.
شریفت
Some pathologists prefer to examine organs without removing
من
them.
که پیاز
For
همجوری
me,
در بودی
it's
مغزش
much more
رو
convenient to examine them on a board, which we'll do now.
مغزش همجوری در بود دیست دن 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 برد
I can't do it without the pills. Pills. No. Pills. No. Every pill. No. 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 Everything is spinning. Pills. I have to take pills.
میگه باید یورو رو ببرم نه؟ حالم ولی بده.
Pills. I need my pills.
به قرصاش فکر کنم نیاز داره. بریم قرص بزن. حالا من از اینجا برم بیرون یه چیزی میشه. بچه آماده باشین. قرصاش کجاه؟ پشت سرم نباش. سرجاشه. تکون نخور. مغز نداری.
Holding a long, narrow blade knife in the dominant hand, we slowly cut all the time.
حرف اضافه نزن رو بخوام ببرم. چی رو باید ببریم؟ اوکی به این دیواراش نبود. من که پیاز اینجور میپوری. شاید چربیه مغز. به چی فکر میکرد انگار؟ ما که خبر نداریم.
We can rule the fatal accident out as well. Brain is in good condition, so we have no choice but to proceed to the internal examination of the other organs.
درست دارم انجام میدم.
I grab a scalpel from my kit.
Select the cutting گود کنیم.
The incision should be in the shape of a letter Y. We use a deep cut to reach all the way to the ribs. All right. Now we peel back and separate.
جنافش رو اینجوری برید. این نیست. نه که بخیه است. نه که آمپوله. رو چیکار کنیم؟ اسکن شد. نه این باید پوستشو باز کنم. اوکی هی با مگه پیازه.
We need to remove the ribs. We'll need the loppers for this.
بدن انسان این تیه.
Quite a satisfying crunch, for some anyway. After removing the cartilage tissue, we instantly notice two things. First, we can see widespread black and tarry deposits caused by smoking cigarettes. Despite the tragic condition of the lungs, they are not the cause of death. Alice smoked too. It didn't kill her, but...
Okay, معتاد مفنگی بود.
Yes, advance.
Okay.
What now? The syringe. Now's a good time to collect some samples.
با چه کنم؟ چون نمیگیره. خونش رو باید بگیره.
5 milliliters from the left ventricle should do it.
Okay.
Left on the bladder, we draw about 10 milliliters of fluid. Now we
Okay.
take our samples to the centrifuge. But before I do that, I need to find my notebook. My dyscalculia means that I always double check the settings.
چی میگه؟
Please excuse me while I run and fetch it.
باید برم آفیس. اوکی. اصلا دوست دارم چیزی بود. لابراتوری آفیس.
This whole thing is covered in stains. I should check this out under the microscope sometime.
روشن باش.
Awful. It would be good to finally repair the coffee machine.
چی use the can't for میخوام برگردم. امیدوارم چیزی نباشه اینجا. بودو هم نمی کنه. این بلند نشده باشه. نشسته سر روش.
Let's get back to the examination.
داشت تو هیچی نداری خب.
We put all of the samples into the rotor.
خونه رو بذار داخلش.
Now we set the appropriate time and speed.
set the time با چند بذارم؟ 15 دقیقه 70%. 15 دقیقه
Okay, let's roll.
70%. بعد چیزی روشن کنم. اوکی درست.
Oh shit, the fuses again. Where were we? Oh yes, the blood alcohol concentration. Let's see what we've got here. Everything's separated as it should. Our lab is closed until tomorrow after the last
اینقدرش آب بود بقیه خون.
incident. However, let's go further. We will now focus on the cardiovascular system, specifically the heart.
Return to autopsy.
We remove the organ and examine it closely.
Begin
We
heart.
look for dark hypoxic areas, clots, or other elements that stand out as abnormal. At first glance, the heart looks fine. The pulmonary trunk and aorta seem to be in good condition. There are no...
زیاد حرف میزنی.
Now let's take a closer look at... Size is normal, healthy.
این کجاه؟ کبد؟ نه کبده؟ مثانه؟ چیکارش کنم؟
And as expected, the stomach has no major external...
حرف نزن زیاد.
We must now cut it open and inspect. We will do it carefully so that its contents do not spill out.
دیسکنه پورت کات بود کنم چیزی رو. آمپول که نمیخواد. اینم که هیچی. اینم نیست.
We open the stomach along the greater curvature, from the heart to the pyloric end.
این یکم سخت.
Oh, I already feel like there's something left inside.
یواش بیا. یواش. با موس یکم سخته. باز با موس راحت تر. دستم بلند کنم دوباره بذارم پایین. خب این چوغو سیاه شده، چوغو سیاه بود. اصلا خوشم نمیاد. چرا دارم این بازی میکنم؟ نگو که الان بود برم بگم.
Large amount of gas, small amounts of yellow, grayish food content, resembling
نیاز نمید
some
دوباره
kind of meat.
برگردیم. از وسط
Either
نصفش
the
کردیم.
deceased hadn't eaten in days, or the bulk of his stomach had already found a way out. Looks like I'll have to find the missing contents. There are two ways here. One is obvious. It couldn't. I'll let. At first glance, the trachea looks normal. Same result as with the stomach. The external inspection doesn't
این
tell us
چیه؟
anything.
نخواه
This time we'll cut out a
گردن
tray.
هرچی هست.
While cutting such a small organ as the trachea, we must make a precise incision. To be able to cut with the very tip of the blade, we must hold the scalpel as we would a pen. And after careful examination and deduction, we've got it. A clogged trachea. It's time to summarize the whole thing. Based on the report and preliminary documentation, it's safe to assume that the
من
deceased...
نفهم دقیقا چی رو میگه ولی خب نباید این بازی میکرد.
Then, the gastric contents refluxed and flooded the airways, causing death. That's why we don't forget about the recovery position at dorm parties.
نه که باید انتخاب میکردم چی کارش کنم. احساس میکنم ریدم. اونجا تیک هم باید بزنیم. اوکی من اولین بازی رو
Now it's all clear. The death was suffocation. Now
اوکی
the
امضا باید
mystery
بزنیم.
is solved. But for
It
us, this is
مهم
not
نیست
the
دیگه
end.
فقط خط خطی.
First, the dead body needs to be cleaned up. For this, we will need to close the body and grab the needle. First,
اوکی
we
بودی
unroll
رو
the skin
ببندیم.
flaps.
نه مغز داره نه قلب داره نه
And
دروده
then
داره.
we sew the deceased back up.
اوکی تابو بزنیم.
I'm using the baseball stitch technique. This stitching method is very strong and quick to do.
بخی زدن تو حالا.
Beautiful.
لیو
Now
باد.
we say goodbye to the deceased and put them safely in the fridge, ready for the next stage of their journey.
بودی چی؟ کلوزیت؟
God, I'm tired. I'll drop these samples off at the lab on the way to the bar.
چیکار کنم؟ Add to your car in the parking lot. Okay.
I'll call Stephen. I don't feel like drinking alone today.
Save شد. بازی چیه؟ من داره خواب میمیره مثلا. واقعا کالبدشکافی به نظر من شغل سختیه. میکن بدن خودتو مثلا باز میکنه، نگاه میکنه، تجزیه تحلیل میکنه. شخصا دوست دارم. چپتر 1.
Forgive me.
اوکی.
What? Christ.
خواب دیده.
What a dream. Fuck.
به نظر من موزه پورت اول بس میشه. بازی بگم حدود 3 یا الی 400 گیم پلی هم داره و اگه ادامه بازی رو میخواین برم و بذارم واسه تو، حتما تو کامنت ها بهم بگین که ادامه بازی رو بگیرم و پیش بریم داستان بازی دقیقاً چی. آره دیگه، ممنون که تا اینجا ویدیو هم رو من بودین. حتما با دکمه سابسکرایب بزن، ویدیو لایک کن و حتما ویدیو رو واسه دوستاتون شیر. تا ویدیو بعدی، فعلا خدافظ.